Using a reliable wired internet connection for your Zappiti players is an important, necessary requirement to enjoy the Zappiti experience to its full potential. For example, a mini 4K HDR needs to stream ultra-high definition content from a Pro 4K or a NAS in a different location on the same network. Quite the task. I'm Bill Murphy with Zappiti, here with Paul Green to discuss the network process and how it applies to ultra-high definition media. Paul, with gigabit internet speeds readily available today and household broadband speeds 10 times what they were 10 years ago, one would think a decent Wi-Fi connection would be all you'd need for reliable communication between Zappiti players. Explain why Wi-Fi is not really the best choice and why a wired connection gets the job done so much better.
Well, Bill, absolutely, one would think that that would be sufficient. But I think that everyone in today's world has experienced hotspot outages, that type of thing. The problem with Wi-Fi is that you are subject to structural as well as atmospheric interference. Not only that, but ultimately Wi-Fi, even though it has increased in speed in a local area network environment, a LAN environment, there still is latency involved. Most networks in your home are going to have multiple devices. You're going to have hardwired devices, and you're going to have wireless devices. So really, you have the capability within your networks to test that out and actually ping a hardwired device and ping a wireless device and see what type of throughput you get. Every single time you're going to see that Wi-Fi is slower in its response than a hardwired connection would be.
And just to clarify, in case there's any confusion, one of those adapters that attaches to your wiring in your home with an adapter on each end and kind of poses as a wired connection isn't really a true wired connection and shouldn't be considered in this scenario. Can you explain why?
Sure. And it's become more prevalent nowadays in technology to utilize a Ethernet over power adapter. And basically what that's doing is it's using the sinusoidal wave of 60 cycle, which is AC power going through your house, and use as a carrier wave for the actual wave that is the packet for Ethernet. That again, it's subject to latency, just like Wi-Fi. And again, you can test that out. But you're also subjected to issues of power surging, causing problems with the packet transmittal. You have the issue of intermittent power. You also have, the issue that if you have a power outage completely, not to mention the surging, if your devices are connected to that, you're going to get some of that surge through your network interface connection, whatever the interface is, and to the device that you're connecting to with the Ethernet coming off of the power over Ethernet. Again, because of that, I would suggest take the time, run your Ethernet. You're going to take full advantage of a gigabit switch that is going to put out and accept gigabit speeds, plain and simple.
Paul, if you use gigabit switches in your network, is it necessary to attach all your Zappiti media players to the same switch? In other words, would there be any concern about latency if one player was attached to the modem and another to the switch?
Switches and network switches are designed to switch packets between ports as fast as possible. The latency is so minimal that you really would not see anything like you would if you were to use, power over Ethernet or anything like that. You can see behind me, this is a data center. Each one of those little slots is a computer system that is connected to an Ethernet cable, which then goes down that whole big long line and is connected to switches at the end of that row. And then each one of those switches is connected to another switch, which is connected to another switch. They daisy chained all the way down. You have in the standard network up to 250 devices connected to a specific LAN or VNet, if you will, and you can create multiple VNets. So you can have literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of computers connected through the same switching with extremely low latency because of the hardwired. One other thing I really need to add is extremely important at any type of a network deployment. The devices that you connect into your network, really the importance of a UPS, interruptible power supply. And this really plays well to the interconnectivity. As you connect each one of your devices, be it the router, be it the switch, be it the player or devices that you have hardwired, if they're all on an interruptible power supply and you do have brownouts, you do have power outages, they still communicate to one another, and they're communicating to one another because they're left up and running for those brief periods of outage. It protects the hardware, it protects your investment. So it makes sense to put a battery backup on everything you have.
Always a great idea. And remember, the posters, images, and soundtrack clips you hear as you navigate the brilliant Zappiti menu, it's all done in real time, downloaded on demand as you go through the menu and dictated by the metadata in your movie titles, also requiring a reliable wired connection. Make all your Zappiti connections wired ones. Thanks to Paul Green for all the valuable information. If you have any more questions about this, comment on the video below. We'll pass along your questions to Paul and get back to you. And we'll see you in future editions of the Zappiti Experience.